more. Yep. That's it. That's it. Yep.
Well, hi everyone, and our first picture up on the slides shows you what the Winter Gardens used to look like and what the Winter Gardens looks like now. So I'm sure you'll all agree, if you've all been to see it or if you've been down there, how devastating it is. So the Winter Gardens closed and has been closed now since December 2018. And our group, which is the Friends of the People's Palace Winter Gardens in Glasgow Green, have been campaigning since then. Some of my colleagues are over here, and one of my colleagues who got in touch with Ken, Pat Byrne, she can't make it today because she's sick, but I just want to mention Pat in this process. So we have been campaigning since then to see the Winter Gardens restored. We began talks, but of course COVID intervened, and things all got put on hold during that time. So last year, 2023, we began to have really positive discussions with Glasgow Life, who ran the People's Palace, about the Winter Gardens and the People's Palace and what could be done for the future. So as you can see, all the plants have been taken out. The paving has all been ripped up and the cafe's been ripped out. So at the moment it sits in a pretty derelict state. In August 23 last year, the Glasgow Life and the City Council put up a paper to the Administration Committee to restore the People's Palace and the Winter Gardens. What good news was that for us? That was fantastic. And we supported it 100% at that time. So the figure, it's all about money. It's all about money for the council, isn't it? So it's all about money. So the figure they come up with at that time was £35.9 million, which is a huge amount of money. However, money's money, and I'm sure. Anyway, so they were successful in August this year to receive money from the National Lottery Heritage Fund for a first tranche of money, not nearly 35.9 million, but the first tranche of money. And what they did was use that money for what they call, I'm just reading my notes, the development phase. So the development phase will look at what needs to be done. The People's Palace and the Winter Gardens, well, the Winter Gardens has always been closed since December 18, but they reopened the People's Palace and then it's shut since April this year, so it's all closed. So the development phase will go in, everything in the People's Palace is put out. They'll go in now, look at a survey, look at what's needed, look at glasshouse specialists, they've said, will come in and have a look at what needs to be done. That work is anticipated to finish in spring, summer 2025, and then they'll make a decision to go for the next round of National Lottery Heritage Fund money. That wouldn't meet all of the costs. So where are we now? We're sitting here waiting to see what's going to happen to the Winter Gardens. That's where we are now. But what we don't know, some of us are super optimistic that the Winter Gardens will get restored. They want to hold on to that optimism. But part of me thinks we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the survey is going to show up. We don't have all the money yet. So we have to be a bit pessimistic about it and look at see what's going to happen in the future. Because we don't know what's going to happen to the Winter Gardens, and because like on the Glasgow Life website it says it will be an event space. So does that mean the plants will not going to be restored? What will it mean? Will it be cleared out? What will that actually mean? So we have to hold on to the fact that we still don't know what's going to happen to the Winter Gardens. So that was our challenge, and our challenge as a group. So what we decided to do was to conduct our own survey. And one of our committee members, who's fantastic, Scott Galloway, who was going to come today but he's not here today, he designed the survey for us. He's got a horticultural background. And we put out this survey asking people what they wanted to see in the winter gardens in the future. Very quickly, we had, as Ken said, we got 350 responses. And we're a small community organisation. How do we analyse 350 responses? And at that time, we were super fortunate in making links with the Solutions for Change project. And we gave them that task. Go away and analyse that for us, which they have done over the weeks, and we're super pleased about that. They've produced a report, and I know John's going to talk a bit more about the report, and then I'm going to come back on and talk about the next steps as we see them. I think that's it at the moment.
Yeah, so as Izzy explained, the group is called the Friends of People's Palace Winter Gardens and Glasgow Green. I will call them the Friends of the Winter Gardens, so that I don't use up all my time saying their name. So the Friends of the Winter Gardens came to us and said that they had this survey data and could we help analyse it. And in collaboration with the Friends of the Winter Gardens, we thought about what our aims should be. And so what we came up with were these kind of three aims for our project. First of it is analyse the data. What we also wanted to do is run some focus groups to sort of understand the survey data a bit better and flesh out our understanding of what the community would like to see in the Winter Gardens. Maria's going to talk about that in a minute. And then finally, collaboratively write a report. So us and the Friends of the Winter Gardens got together and it's together. So what I'm going to share with you today is just a flavour of the sort of results that we found. So to just talk about the survey, we had, Friends of the Winter Gardens had 350 responses, which as someone who tries to get participants into their scientific studies is amazing. So the survey was delivered by the Friends of the Winter Gardens. It was written by Scott Galloway. What's important here is this graph, sort of on the left, is basically the Winter Gardens are in G40 down in the bottom left there. And what we wanted to show is we looked at where all the respondents were from to say, okay, are we getting enough representation of the community? And this shows that we did have lots of responses around the Winter Gardens, but we also had it across Glasgow. It's very important to think about the Winter Gardens as something for the whole of Glasgow. But we also had responses internationally, so from as far away as Canada, to say that this is very important. And questions were asked around sort of what people would like to see in the Winter Gardens. The two questions I'm going to talk about are, what kind of planting would you like to see on display in the Winter Gardens? And are there any other opportunities, planting, educational, you would like to see offered in the Winter Gardens? So, this is our Trinity analysis. We put together this word cloud. This was done by Tahani, who's not here today, but all the beautiful graphics were her and her computer knowledge. And essentially, the bigger the word, the more it came up in the survey responses to this question of what kind of plants people would like to see. And so what we got, I just want to talk about the first thing is, same as before, essentially came up a lot. One of the themes that came up in the research is that people have great memories of the Winter Gardens. Memory is really important. Knowing, sort of being able to, going there as children and bonding with family, all of those kind of issues were really important. But the other thing is we then get this hugely sort of diverse response. So we have kind of people wanting Scottish flowers, but also exotic or palms. And so very much our understanding of the survey was memory and what it looked like before is really important, but also kind of a diversity and using it as a very sort of diverse and unique space. Here are some of the sort of qualitative things that, so sort of open text box responses that people had. So, for example, sensory garden for people with sight loss. So things in the community that everyone can use were very important. But then also the Alex Harvey bust and bench to be incorporated in Will Bay. Keeping in spirit with the Victoria Winter Gardens. I also, so I just actually want to skip to this one. This is just to say that we had a real diversity of responses, but there was a real sort of want at the beginning to kind of same as before, but also Scottish, tropical, unique, Also, we had some responses about climate change, so basically using it as a place to kind of talk about sustainability. We also asked people, what would you like to see? 75% of responses said that yes, they would like to go to classes to, what's the question? Attend classes that provide planting and horticultural training, but also interestingly, 53% of respondents said that they would be interested in attending outdoor growing classes. And also, this second point I think was really interesting, horticultural classes would be interesting, but also it would be great as it is to have it as a kind of dynamic venue, so space for lots of different activities to go on in the community. So overall in the survey, respondents wanted a distinct experience, really kind of, the Winter Gardens often came up as being very unique, and also people want to preserve its kind of unique role in Glasgow. So now I'm going to pass to Britta.
Okay, thank you, Jim and Izzy. And I'll try to just take us through the focus groups really quickly before we wrap up. But we organized focus groups so that we could really zero in on some of the themes that were brought up in the survey, and to kind of explore other aspects of people's responses that maybe were less represented in survey results. We invited, we had 11 participants actually attend our focus groups. They were held here at the University of Glasgow, and participants were compensated for their time. All of our participants were from Greater Glasgow area and had some connection to the Winter Gardens. Our questions really were very open-ended and centered around the main themes of memories of the past use of Winter Gardens, their uses and importance for these people previously, and then ideas for their future use as they're redeveloped. What we found are that so the Winter Gardens had deep emotional meaning for people. People had really strong attachments to the Winter Gardens through their memories of how it was in the past. Participants talked about how it was a space where they never got bored, and which fostered a love of the outdoors for them as young people. The responses also highlighted the importance of the Winter Gardens as a space for ordinary people to learn, relax, and socialize. Importantly, the Winter Gardens also stood as a model space for accessibility for people with disabilities or additional support needs. And these were all elements that people really did want to see preserved. In thinking about ideas for the future development of the Winter Gardens, people highlighted the desire for more activities having to do with growing, with cooking, and history for people of all ages. And they pointed out that the benefits of maintaining a space like this in Glasgow's East End would help with skill building and health and well-being in the surrounding communities, while continuing to serve as a cultural hub for people in a deprived area of Glasgow. We also talked about the practical elements of how this could be implemented, and there was a resounding support for keeping the Winter Gardens free for locals, with the option suggested of maybe pay what you can for certain types of events that might draw larger crowds. So really, accessibility remained a primary concern, and this applied to both financial accessibility of the space and accessibility for people with varying backgrounds, support needs, and ages. We have here, we don't have the picture on the slide, but on the previous slide we had a picture of someone who was even the first person to get married in the Winter Gardens. So they have a deep affective and emotional value to the people of Glasgow, and we'll want to see that continue to be the case. I'll pass it back to Lynn.
What we've done is here given a flavour of what our kind of analysis and our focus group said, and then collaboratively with the Friends of the Winter Gardens, we put together our report that kind of summarises everything, which is here. We have some copies for people. If you'd be interested, please come and take them. And it is available to read at this website, but also there is a QR code in the back of the report for the Friends of the Winter Gardens website as well. So we just wanted to share some of the suggestions for the future. As an end, these are in the back of the report. As Bria said, memory played a really big part of it, but also linking the past, the present, and the future. So people talked about going there as children with their parents, and then later on, they'd really love to take their children with them. Also, discussions around promoting sustainability, so using the Winter Gardens as a place where you could promote ideas around sustainability, understanding of plants around the world. Community and social spaces, a lot of responses are around what could the Winter Gardens be used for, and really people wanted it to be embedded in the community, but then completely flexible. So ideas around sort of meditation classes or a community cafe or something like that. So these are the kind of general suggestions that we have. What to do next? You could read our reports. You can visit us over there at lunchtime. Or you could definitely visit the Friends of Twinkle Palace Winter Garden and Glasgow Green website.
What I did want to say about lost the sheep was talk about the next steps, because we now have a report from our survey results, and we don't want to just to sit and gather dust. So we're hoping that we will continue to work with our partners, Glasgow Life, City Council and other partners in the future to look at what's going to happen to the restoration of the Winter Gardens. So that's the next steps for us. I would also like to thank everyone in the team for Solutions for Change. Lost my notes, so this is off the top of my head. Thank the team for all their help in working with us to produce this report. And that's Jim, Brea, Yusuf, come on, you have to come down here today. Yusuf, and Amber, and Tahani, here today. I'd also like to thank Bob. Where's he going?
I'm right in front of you.
There's Bob, for producing our fabulous palm tree out there. Not the real thing, unfortunately, but one day we'll have the real thing back in the Winter Gardens. So, thank you very much. Thanks Scott for doing the survey in the first place. He couldn't make it today, and also Pat for introducing us to Ken, and Ken for his support throughout as well. If I've missed anybody out, thank you everyone. Paula and Bob. Paula for coming along today, and I think is Margaret still here? I'm not sure if she's on. I think she's away. Anyway, thanks to everybody for it. Now, sitting talking to Paula and memories of the Winter Gardens as Jim was talking about, it opened in 1898. I had to write it in my hand today. So it opened in 1898. So lots and lots of memories about the Winter Gardens. But particularly it was based in the East End of Glasgow. And the East End was one of the most deprived areas in the city at that time. There was tenements, there was lots of poor working souls that had to work a hard life. And they used the Winter Gardens as a place of sanctuary. Right, Paul? Am I right? Paul used to work down there. And he's now working for you guys. So Paul, I'm sure you've got some questions for us. So it was a place of sanctuary for the people in the East End. Come out their tenements, they never had gardens. What did they have? They had the Winter Gardens, a place of sanctuary. That's what we want to see maintained. We want to see it as a place of sanctuary, somewhere people can go, see the plants, do the education stuff, do the biodiversity, whatever modern society tells us what's needed, but it's still a restored Winter Gardens. I'll not stop, and neither will our group, until we can all sit with a cuppa again in the Winter Gardens when it gets restored, hopefully in 2027.
Thank you so much for that. There's time for 2 quick questions, if anyone would like to ask one. We've got one over here. And there's one over there as well.
Thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. And my question is a bit tangential, but I've been wondering about this since your first slide or so. What happened to all the plants that were there already?
Well, here's the thing, right? First of all, we were told that some of the most important plants were sent to the Botanic Gardens. We've not been able to find them, and we've not been able to prove that or disprove that. Paul maybe know more than me about that. So that's what we were told, that the most important plants were sent to the Botanic Gardens, but we've not been able to find them. Everything else has been destroyed, left to wither away to nothing, and sent a chipper in to just pull everything out. Absolutely heartbreaking for us, to be honest.
Thank you. Sorry to introduce such a sad note, but I was really curious. Thank you.
Is there another question at the centre of the room?
Is it on? Yeah. I might have like a quick reflection about my work with the team. I have an honor to work with the community, but I was not lucky to enjoy the memories. So what I did, I went to the Botanic Garden and imagine myself. I have a memories when I was there as a child. I couldn't handle that kind of imagination and I stopped. I really, in this kind of small journey, it's helped me to see exactly the pain. And I explained to my friends when we reflection about the group focus we had, just the next row. I said the community will not be were grateful, and they give the thanks.
And just to reflect on a slightly opposite side, I was the child that grew up playing in the Winter Gardens, and the people of the East End were my family as well, so it's beautiful to see from both sides of that.
Well, just remember something that Bob told me to say that I forgot in my notes, and that is that everybody tells us that everybody's got a story to tell us about the Winter Gardens. We need people to be active. What was your wee saying there, Bob?
Just what you said. Everybody in Glasgow loves the Winter Gardens, but you really need to prove your love by doing something towards maintaining them.
And on our table, we've got a wee sign-up sheet for your name and your email address. And I would just say, if you're going to give me your email address, please make it as legible as possible. I have got then to decipher them. But if you would want to continue to hear information from us, hear about our next steps, see what is going to happen, where all the money is going to come from, will we have a successful round 2 of the National Lottery Heritage Fund money, 7.5 million, some money in from the council as well. And we know the council Stratford money, so we've got a long way to go. We have to remain positive that it's all going to happen and that this survey work that they're doing now will prove positive. So Billy's here from Glasgow Live. I'm going to put him in the spot. Billy, want to say something?
First of all, a fantastic presentation. When Ken introduced you, he talked about friends of organisations and the passion that they have for their local assets and things that people really care about, and that was absolutely clear in the presentation. In the report, it says that you want to send a very clear message to decision makers. I think a clear message. You got that over loud and clear, and that's certainly registered with me. But just for everyone's benefit, I think we have a really positive relationship with the Friends of People's Palace, Winter Gardens and Glasgow Green, and actually. We don't just respect your views, but actually I think you have a really pivotal role in the process that we've now embarked on with People's Palace, which is actually both really positive and really exciting, but you're right, really challenging at the same time because the financial landscape is just really difficult. We do have a commitment from the Council of around £11 million. We're working with the National Lottery Heritage Fund. We have the development funding. We hope that paves the way for that 7.5 million. But you're right, there's still a funding gap and we're all working really hard to close that gap. And your work, the passion that you have, the input from the Friends and the campaigning and the lobbying that you do plays a really crucial role in putting that compelling case together and winning the argument with funders. So So keep up that good work. I look forward to the conversations about what the Winter Gardens will look like in the future. You said that we don't know, and you're right, we don't know, because actually, how can we? Because it won't be up to people like me to decide. It won't be up to any individuals. It has to be a wide engagement process about determining the future of these really important cultural and recreational assets. So we will all have to work together to determine what that building and what these buildings look like in the future. I look forward to that conversation. Can't wait. Thank you.
Take a trip to the palace. It belongs to the Glasgow boat. Thank you very much. Cheers now. We'll see you all again sometime.